Hey everyone! Before we dive into this incredible story of betrayal and rebirth, I'd like to ask for a small favor. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button if you enjoy the video, and most importantly, let me know in the comments what city you're watching from. Now get ready because Megan's story is about to begin. My name is Megan Carter. I'm 30 years old and my life completely fell apart at my dad's birthday party. Imagine it. A family gathering, laughter filling the room. Then out of nowhere, my dad leaned across the table. His eyes locked on mine as he asked, "Megan, the $200,000 I gave you, what did you do with it?" My heart skipped a beat. $200,000. I froze, the fork slipping from my hand and clattering onto the plate. "What do you mean?" I stammered, my sister's face going pale. The room fell into a heavy silence. I had been given a fortune to chase my dream of opening a fashion store, but someone in my family had other plans. Betrayal from family cuts the deepest. For years, I'd been a marketing coordinator in Chicago, working for a mid-sized fashion brand. It was a fast-paced life, but my real dream was to open my own boutique. Few months back, my dad made that dream feel within reach. He wired me $800,000, no strings attached, saying it was my shot to build something of my own. I was floored. His belief in me meant everything. I'd been saving up and scouting locations in Salt Lake City, where I grew up, planning to move back and start fresh. A few days ago, my sister Kristen called me out of the blue. Her voice was tight and she said, "Dad's not feeling great. His birthday party's cancelled. No need to come home." Didn't sit right with me. Dad's 60th birthday was a big deal, and he would have told me himself. I pressed her but she brushed me off saying, "It's just a cold. Don't worry." Her tone was rushed like she wanted me off the phone. A knot formed in my stomach. Kristen and I have never been close. She's always been about flashy clothes and expensive trips, living a life I couldn't keep up with. She'd borrow my things without asking and always try to one-up me. This call felt different though. Why would she lie about something so simple? I decided to fly back to Salt Lake City anyway. I wasn't going to miss my dad's 60th. I bought a sleek, engraved watch as a surprise gift, a small token to show how much he meant to me. As I packed, my mind kept circling back to Kristen's call. Her lie about the party felt like the tip of something much bigger. I checked my bank account, feeling a surge of gratitude for the $800,000 he'd given me. But as I scrolled, a small detail caught my eye. A vague transfer notification buried in my history. My heart skipped a beat. Was this connected to her call? I called my Aunt Ellen, who is always my go-to for family updates. She's sharp and doesn't miss a thing. "Cancelled," she said, her voice skeptical. "I was at their house yesterday, and your dad was fine planning the menu." My suspicion hardened. Aunt Ellen then added, "You know, I saw your sister with some new designer bags last week. She's been spending a lot lately, more than usual." My mind raced. Designer bags, trips to Europe. Where was she getting all this money? I landed in Salt Lake City and drove straight to my dad's house in Sugar House. As I pulled up, my jaw dropped. Cars lined the street, and warm light spilled from every window. The party wasn't cancelled. Kristen had lied, and I was about to find out why. Stepping inside, I was hit with the buzz of voices and clinking glasses. My dad stood by the dining room table, laughing and looking perfectly healthy. My mom, Linda, hovered nearby, arranging plates, while Kristen flitted around in designer heels. I forced a smile, but my pulse was racing. I handed my dad the watch, and he pulled me into a tight hug. As I stepped back, I caught Kristen staring at me, her eyes wide for a split second before she turned away. My mom quickly looked down, fussing with a napkin. Their behavior was tense, like they were hiding something. I stuck close to Aunt Ellen, who was sipping wine by the dessert table. "I thought this was cancelled," I said, keeping my voice low. She raised an eyebrow. "Cancelled? Your sister's the one who said you weren't coming." My stomach twisted. The lie wasn't just about the party. It was about keeping me away. Aunt Ellen leaned in, her voice dropping. "Your sister's been on a spending spree. I saw her at the mall dropping thousands like it was nothing. My mind flashed back to her hurried phone call. Where was she getting this kind of money? I glanced at Kristen, who was now laughing loudly with a guest, her diamond earrings catching the light. My mom stood nearby, her smile forced. Aunt Ellen pulled me aside again, her expression serious. I don't know what's going on, but your sister's been acting shady for weeks, and your mom, she's in on it. My heart pounded. The lies, the spending, the nervous glances. It all pointed to something big. The party was in full swing. My sister and mom kept their distance, their eyes darting nervously whenever I got close. As the cake was brought out, everyone gathered around the table. Dad stood at the head, smiling, but his expression shifted to something serious. He turned to me, his voice low but clear, cutting through the chatter. "Megan," he said, "the $200,000 I sent you, what did you do with it?" My heart stopped. My mind went blank. I had no idea what he was talking about. Before I could say more, Kristen jumped in, her voice high-pitched and shaky. "She probably just forgot, Dad. You know how busy she is." Her face was drained of color. Dad raised a hand, cutting her off. "Kristen, I'm asking Megan." The guests shifted uncomfortably, and my mom, standing near Kristen, clutched her wine glass, her knuckles white. I swallowed hard, my voice cracking. "Dad, I don't know about any $200,000. I got the $800,000 for my boutique, but this other money, I never saw it." My words hung in the room. Kristen's eyes widened, and she opened her mouth to speak, but Dad's glare pinned her in place. "Megan," he said, "I sent you and your sister $200,000 each, separate from the boutique money. You're telling me you didn't know?" I shook my head, my hands trembling. "No, Dad. I swear I never got it." My eyes locked on Kristen, who was now gripping the table, her face pale as paper. She wouldn't meet my gaze. My mom stepped forward, her hand on Kristen's arm, but said nothing. Dad's jaw tightened, his eyes burning with fury. "Enough," he said, his voice like steel. "Megan, you're sure you didn't know?" I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. The weight of his question filled the room. Dad turned to Kristen, his eyes narrowing. "And you, Kristen, what did you do with yours?" Her lips parted, but no words came out. I used it for investments," she stammered, her voice cracking. "Investments?" Dad repeated, his tone sharp. "Then why did Aunt Ellen tell me you've been blowing money on designer clothes and trips to Europe?" Kristen's shoulders slumped, and she shot a desperate look at my mom, who stepped forward, her voice shaky. "Daniel, let's not do this here." Dad ignored her. "Where's Megan's money, Kristen?" he demanded. "Because it sure as hell didn't get to her." Kristen's face crumpled. "It was a mistake," she whispered. "I thought it was mine." My blood boiled. I looked at my mom, expecting her to defend me, but she just stood there, her eyes downcast. "Mom," I said, my voice breaking. "Did you know?" She flinched but didn't answer. Dad's voice dropped to a dangerous calm. "Linda, you were in on this too, weren't you?" My mom's head snapped up, her eyes wide with panic. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she stammered. "Kristen needed help, and I thought we could fix it." "Fix it?" My hands balled into fists. They had gambled with my future and called it a mistake. Dad pulled out his phone, his fingers steady. "I'm calling the police," he said, his voice final. Kristen gasped, begging him to stop. My mom grabbed his arm, frantic. "Daniel, don't do this. We're family." He shook her off. "Family doesn't betray family." He dialed, his voice calm as he spoke to the dispatcher. "I need officers at my home in Sugar House. It's about theft. $200,000. The guests stood frozen, watching the family unravel. The police station was cold and stark. I sat in a waiting area, still reeling from the chaos. Dad's face was set in stone. Kristen and Linda were in separate rooms being questioned. An officer approached us. Miss Carter, we've got statements from your sister and mother, he said. Kristen admitted to accessing a joint account your father set up. It held funds for you and your sister, $200,000 each. She withdrew your share a few weeks ago. My breath caught. That explained her recent spree. She said she needed to cover personal expenses, high-end clothes, plane tickets, a luxury hotel stay. Most of it's gone. Maybe $10,000 left. My heart sank. $200,000 meant for my future, reduced to scraps. What about my mom? Yes. The officer flipped through his notes. Linda admitted she knew about it. She gave Kristen access, thinking they could replace the money before anyone noticed. I clenched my fists, fury rising. Dad's hand gripped the chair. They had no right, he muttered. Aunt Ellen stepped forward with a folder of receipts and bank statements. I've got proof, she said. Receipts from Kristen's shopping trips. Thousands on handbags, jewelry, first-class tickets. The officer nodded. This is a serious offense. Felony theft. They could face up to 15 years plus fines and will be ordered to pay restitution. He paused. With most of the money gone, recovering it will be tough. I nodded, my throat tight. I want them prosecuted, Dad said, his tone unyielding. They betrayed my daughter, and I won't let it slide. Kristen and Linda had made their choices, and now they would face the consequences. As we left, Aunt Ellen put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing, Megan. I wasn't so sure. The truth was out, but it didn't feel like a victory. My family was gone, and so was my money. All I had left was the fight to make things right. The weeks following the police station felt like a lifetime. I sat in Dad's study, surrounded by familiar bookshelves, but the air was heavy with finality. Dad had called me back to meet with his lawyer. I've rewritten my will, he said, his eyes locking onto mine. The house, the investment funds, everything goes to you. Kristen and Linda get nothing. His words landed like a stone. The house was worth over $1 million, and his funds were a fortune. Are you sure, Dad? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He nodded, his jaw tight. They used your money without permission. They don't deserve my trust. His lawyer, Susan Pierce, explained the charges. Kristen and Linda were placed on 36 months of probation and ordered to pay back the $200,000, plus fines. But as Aunt Ellen pointed out, they could only scrape together about $50,000 from selling their car and designer items. The judge had issued a restitution plan based on their incomes, meaning it could take years. My mind raced. Years. The word echoed in my head. Kristen and Linda, once fixtures in our family, now faced a future tethered to debt and shame. They had moved out of the Sugar House neighborhood, unable to face the whispers. Their lives had unraveled. I tried to feel anger or pity, but all I felt was emptiness. The money was gone, and so was the family I thought I had. You're stronger than this, Megan, Aunt Ellen said softly, her grip warm and steady on my hand. You'll build something new. Dad stood, his shoulders squared. This is your home now. Make it yours. As I left the study, the reality settled in. The wealth was mine, but the cost was everything else. Months after the fallout, I stood in the heart of Salt Lake City, staring at the sign above my new boutique. Carter's Charm. The storefront gleamed under the morning sun. The $800,000 Dad had given me had turned a lifelong dream into a reality. Opening a fashion store wasn't just a business move. It was my way of reclaiming what had been broken. I'd left my job in Chicago and moved back to Utah. The decision wasn't easy, but Salt Lake City was home, and Dad needed me. Aunt Ellen helped me settle into the house, now officially mine. We filled it with new memories that didn't carry the sting of betrayal. The boutique took every ounce of my energy, but slowly it started to thrive. Fashion bloggers posted about it, and soon, Carter's Charm was breaking even. A local magazine called it Salt Lake's New Gem, and I felt a spark of pride I hadn't known in years. I didn't hear much from Kristen or Linda anymore. The court had ordered them to pay back the money, but their payments came in small, sporadic amounts. I didn't wish them harm, but I couldn't bring myself to reach out. Their choices had drawn a line we couldn't cross. One evening, as I closed up the boutique, I sat at the counter sketching ideas for a new clothing line. The quiet hum of the city outside felt comforting, a reminder that life moved on. I thought about the money. The $800,000 that gave me this chance and the $200,000 that had torn us apart. It wasn't just about the dollars. It was about what they represented. Kristen and Linda's greed had cost them everything. Family, trust, stability. Their actions showed me what happens when you let ambition twist into something selfish. Looking back, I realized the lesson wasn't just about loss. It was about truth. Being honest with myself, with Dad, with Aunt Ellen had rebuilt what was broken. It wasn't easy to face the pain, to stand up to betrayal, but it was worth it. That truth carried me through the long days of building my business and into a life I could finally call my own. As I locked the shop's door, I glanced at the Salt Lake City skyline, its lights twinkling against the mountains. This was my home, my future, built on the foundation of what I had learned. Greed destroys, but honesty endures.